Our daily Bible reading today comes from Jeremiah chapter 6 through chapter 8. And our daily devotional today here at Carrollton Christian Fellowship comes from the first half of Jeremiah chapter 6. And with Jeremiah chapter 6, this first half, we see that the Lord is giving the warning of the coming destruction from the north, the coming judgment that is coming down from the north that the Lord will be using because of their sin and because of their failure to turn back to the Lord and to listen to his word. Verses 1 through 5 tell us of the destruction that will be coming from the north. In verses 1 through 3, one of the things that we see is that the Lord says that there are those who will be able to see the coming destruction that is coming from the north. And for those who have discernment, those who are able to discern the times and able to see what is happening, that they will flee from the city. Then in verses 4 through 5, we see that this coming judgment, the point of which they are past the tipping point that makes this judgment certain, that they are so much closer to that tipping point. So even though the judgment from this time is still a ways off, still many years future, the approach to the tipping point of this judgment being set in stone is so much closer than what they ever could even have imagined at the time. In verses 6 through 8, we see that the type of warfare that will be coming against Jerusalem, against the city, will be siege warfare. In verse 8, we see this siege warfare will be different than they had experienced under King Hezekiah from the Assyrians. So this will be different because what we see in verse 8, because the defense that Hezekiah had, that defense will actually be removed. The true defense that Hezekiah and the city had and the nation had during the time of Hezekiah was defense from the Lord. The Lord was the one who defended the city. So because of this, because the Lord will depart from defending Jerusalem, they will not be able to stand against this siege that is about to come. In verses 9 through 12, we see that the Lord is telling them that they will be facing the full force and the full brunt of the Lord's judgment and wrath upon their sin. That all of this that's coming, that there will be nothing held back because the Lord is very serious that their sin must be handled and must be dealt with. In verses 13 through 15, the Lord continues, not only telling them what they will be facing, but the Lord is telling them why they will be facing it. The Lord is giving them the reason behind why the wrath and the coming judgment upon their sin is coming, and why they will be tasting this bitterness of siege warfare and being carried away into captivity. The reason for that is because of their covetousness, their greed, and their abuse of others. And in all of these things, that they had no shame in doing it. They had no shame in their covetousness or in their greed. They were not shamed. They felt nothing. They did not care that their greed and what they were oppressing one another with was actually putting such a huge, huge burden upon them. We need to be careful as we go forward in how we look at the way we treat others. This is a good warning for us and a good encouragement for us to turn back and turn away from the desire or the temptation of covetousness and to be greedy when we deal with others in our practices of our day. The Lord is very serious about taking care of and standing up for those who get taken advantage of. So let this be a good encouragement for us as we go forward, that though he is slow in handing out judgment because he wants us to respond and to turn away from our sin, because he wants us to return away from it before he has to handle it, the Lord is slow in handing out his judgment. But be sure that the Lord will hand out his judgment if we do not turn away from taking advantage of others, from our covetousness, and from being greedy and being greedful. So that is something that has truly marked the past, 10 years or so of our culture all around the world. And not only the past 10 years, but really heavily the past 4 to 5 years. Our culture has become extremely greedy and very covetousness in seeking, wanting, and desiring to have more, and not caring and having no shame in how it treated others and how it put others in very difficult situations. So I hope this will be a good encouragement for you, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. So take care. Have a blessed one.